What's going on, YouTube? Baker Man coming at you today from literally the middle of nowhere. I've got my $10 dollar store survival kit, and I'm living up to this challenge. So to start off on the right foot, I will go ahead and let you know that this whole camping trip I did with this $10 dollar store survival kit pretty much was a failure. I was able to use everything in the kit, but I wasn't able to last for 12 hours. To make a long story short, the kit was waterproof. It was under $10. For the most part, I had the means to start a fire. That's where the big issue came in. I had enough for 2 meals, and I had a good shelter. So let's go ahead and dive straight into the camping trip and take a look at everything that happened. Okay, so I've been walking through the woods for about 30 minutes. I had this place mapped out. I've never been through these woods before. Didn't work out the way I wanted it to. Turns out what I thought was a power line was actually a ditch, so I can't go further that way. So I had to stay this way. Okay, so here's my dilemma. Right behind me, there's a road and actually crosses over the ditch that I wanted to get over. That's a good opportunity to try to take, but as you can see, I'm losing precious daylight. I've probably got about 30 more minutes before sunset. But on the other hand, if I do a complete 180 back this way, I've got a really good four-wheeler trail going back the direction I came. Well, really I came from straight that direction back there. This is more of a 45-degree angle, but the best part about it is all over here, there's absolutely no four-wheeler trails, no human traffic. Right here's where I came out at and came into this junction right here. If I go this way, it takes me the way I originally planned on going. But if I go this way, it pretty much takes me back out to where I originally started at. But being, like I said, this is the edge of the four-wheeler trail here, I'm actually going to keep going this way. So I'm going to go in these woods where there's no trails, no nothing, and go ahead and make base camp. I believe I have found as good a spot as any to go ahead and start this trek. I've got a friend with me. Hold on. His name is Pancho. Hey, Pancho. So he's here to keep me company throughout the night. I'm going to go ahead and mount this camera here and get out the phone and start messing around with it, and we'll use that to record and go ahead and start getting some stuff done. I don't even think you can see me now. There we go. Okay, so your first step in a survival situation, you always want to make sure that you have some way to secure fire. In this situation, I know I've got a way to secure fire. I know I've got a way to secure fire. I know I've got a way to secure fire. I can at least start one. With the stuff in the kit, I've got plenty of matches and canned heat, and with my EDC, I've got a lighter. So I'm not really worried about making the fire. Keeping it might be an option or a issue, but I don't think it will be. But since I know that I can make it, I'm not as worried about it. After you get fire, your next issue is shelter. Weather reports don't say anything about rain tonight, so I don't think shelter over my head's going to be a big issue. It's more so on the ground. This here is a lot of pine thicket, so ticks might be an issue. One thing I did do was I found 4 main trees. There's one there, one over there that you can barely see above my backpack, and yeah, there we go, and one right here. I have taken and cutting some limbs off up to about a little over head level. That was the main thing I wanted to make sure I get done before it got too dark, was at least clear space out to where I can make shelter. The limbs I cut off of here, I've made into 2 piles for firewood. So my next step is I'm going to go ahead and open up this kit. I'm going to try to get me a light out and some matches and see if I can't get some type of fire started. Okay, as you can see, I've got a fire built. It's not the largest fire in the world, but it's a decent size. The problem I have is I've got a lot of overhang here, and I didn't think about this before I picked out a spot, but this is pretty much the only type of area that we had. But it's a lot of overhang, a lot of pine straw, and of course pine straw likes to float up whenever it burns. The ashes will. And I don't want it to float up and get caught up in any of this overhang and light some of these trees on fire. So what I did is around the fire, I did the same thing I did to the shelter. I went through the trees and cut down up as high as I could reach, probably a good 7 feet, maybe a little bit higher. Cleared off all the dead pine straw that I could, as much as I could. Took the pine straw on the ground, moved it out in about a 4 to 5 foot circle, and put all the kindling I had up there. Started the kindling, put me a few sticks on top of it, and a few bigger sticks. And you know, I've got a good 2 foot wide fire. I'm not really looking for flames, I'm just looking for heat because it's supposed to get a little bit cold tonight. Another issue I've run into with the fire is without proper equipment, I don't have big enough limbs to sustain a fire to sleep long enough. I've got basically twigs probably, you know, that big around, the biggest maybe half the size of my wrist. They're not really huge and they're not going to burn for a sustained amount of time. So I'm going to have to keep a check on that also. As for shelter, I have the capabilities to make one. I don't think I'm going to need one tonight. It's probably a brisk 60 degrees out here, so it's not too cold. Actually, my fire is getting ready to die out. I think I'm going to use the main part of that shelter, that shower curtain I was going to use for a lean-to, as something to lay on this pine straw. Maybe in a few hours, once I get bored, I'll be able to think of some way to put it up. I don't know if you can see, but it is about 6:05, 6:02, whatever that says. You're backwards from me, so 6:02, and it's already this dark out here. Now granted, I can look up and see the sky, but whenever I look out, I can't see 3 feet in front of me, which is why this fire is going to be a big help tonight to keep all the critters away. So let me go ahead and get this thing started back up, and I'll check in with you in about an hour. Okay, so right now it is 6:40. A little bit earlier than what I said I'd check in, but I'm having a real issue. The fire, let me see if I can show it to you. Yeah, you see that little bit of nothing? The problem I'm having here is everything is wet. I put pine straw on top of this thing to try to get some flames started, and it just started smoking even worse. I get down there and blow on it, it'll dry some of the wood out, catch it on fire. It'll stay on fire for 15-20 minutes and then cut back out, if even that long. So it feels like that's going to be my biggest issue tonight, is this fire. As far as shelter, what I've come up with is I'm going to take the tarp. I'm going to try to make a sleeping bag out of it. That way I can kind of crawl in there, I brought a bag that had my camera equipment in it, use that bag as a pillow and try to get up in there. So between the fire and making a sleeping bag, that's going to be my next priority. So I'll check back in about an hour and 20, I reckon, about 8 o'clock. Okay, so it's a little after 8. My fire has pretty much dwindled down to not a lot. In a situation like this, I'd advise at least keeping coals, which is pretty much what I'm doing at this moment now. I'm trying to keep it hot, at least that way if I need to I can light it back up without having to go through a whole bunch of trouble. It's just really wet out here, and it's hard to keep it going. See there, now it's flamed back up actually. So it's been doing like that on and off. I'll throw a little bit of tinder on it and a few sticks, and it'll get back up for a good 15-20 minutes and go back down to nothing but an ember or coals, and I'll get back up and throw a few more on it and start it back over. So as long as you're able to keep something to where if you need it you can use it, then you should be good. I'm actually getting pretty tired. It is still early in the night, so I'm going to try to take a nap. If I don't get it, I'll be back, check in about an hour. Okay, so my 9 o'clock alarm just went off, and I've got a little bit of a fire going. Not too much, it's really more pine straw and kindling that's actually burning off right now. It's really difficult to
get this stuff to burn. Needless to say, I've been collecting firewood and expending a lot of energy on trying to keep the fire going. And as you can see, it's fogging up my lens now. Oh God. So I'm spending a lot of energy trying to keep this fire going. It pretty much went all the way out except for a few embers down at the bottom. And I went and got some more firewood, a good handful of limbs, and piled them back up and trying to get it started back. One thing I did do that I didn't tell you about before, just wanted to fill you in, is you can't see it because it's so dark out here and this camera isn't that great. But I did take some of those glow sticks that I had in my pack, and I marked off 4 trees basically around my campsite here where my sleeping area and stuff was going to be. And I put a couple of glow sticks on each tree. Each tree has a different color. That way, if at some point during the middle of the night that I wake up and my fire's gone and I have this pitch black and I need to get my bearings, I can look at the tree and figure out, okay, that tree's green, that one's north. That tree's got a yellow glow stick on it, that one's south. Purple's east, red is west. So that is a little trick you can use if you get the glow sticks. That's just something I thought I'd fill you in on and show you what I did. But like I said, unfortunately I can't show it to you because it's too dark. Anyway, I'm gonna see what else I can do for the next hour, and I'll check back in a little bit. Okay guys, so here's what I'm sitting at. This thing was a complete freaking failure. It is entirely too wet out here to do anything. I can't even get a fire going good, and I know how to set a fire. With that, it's about 32 degrees out here, so it's just at freezing. So it's really, really cold, and I have a day job that I have to keep, so I can't risk getting sick. I am going to keep you up to date as I try my best to find my way back home. I am out here in the middle of nowhere. I'm kidding you not. But I can hear a road, so I should be good. I've got my bearings straight as much as I know. I've got a whole bunch of glow sticks that I'm going to leave behind me just in case if I somehow get doubled back around, but that shouldn't happen, so I'll keep you up to date. It's been about 20 minutes. I've come out to a four-wheeler trail, so I'm just going to follow the trail towards the sound of the main highway. Well, it's not a main highway, it's a roadway, but you can hear a car come by about every 30-45 minutes. So it's actually, what direction? I'm trying to catch my bearings here. The roadway is actually east. I come from the south, travel north, hit this four-wheeler trail, and now I hear the roadway towards the east, so that's the direction I'm heading. Hopefully once I get out to a clearing, or wherever this four-wheeler trail takes me, it'll take me somewhere, but I'll be able to figure out where I'm at and find a landmark and find my way back home. I've come to the conclusion that I have no idea where I'm at, but I know where I'm at. I see houses, so I know I'm good. I'm not lost anymore, but I don't know whose houses they are. And I don't exactly know what part of town I'm in, but I don't want to look like an idiot walking up here with a dollar store survival kit and a 5-gallon bucket walking down the street at whatever time it is. So I'm going to go ahead and sign out for tonight, but I'll make sure to catch up with you in the morning and run down everything, because I actually used everything in the kit, so technically it's a success. It's just weather wouldn't allow me to complete it the way I wanted to. So until tomorrow morning. So as you can see, it wasn't really that successful of a trip. Like I said, I did use everything, so made my way back home and everything was safe and sound. So this is going to be the last dollar store kit that I try, even though it is the first. Unfortunately, you just can't get enough stuff from a dollar store, especially for $10.
to make a survival kit that's really going to last you. I guess if you were in a situation where you really had to have it, the stuff in that kit's better than nothing. But as far as something that you want to take out with you and go on a camping trip for the weekend or for the night, that's just not happening. It just doesn't work that simple. So with that said, I'm going to leave you with a few shots of all the water and the rain and the puddles that we've had build up overnight, just to show you how bad it's got here. And to be honest, all this rain didn't really dry up, which is part of the problem why I had started the fire anyway. So until next time, peace out. This used to be a ditch. I stood right here 2 weeks ago and showed you the same ditch, and it all dried up, and now it's all filled back up. The sad part is all of this was done since about 8 o'clock this morning. It's now about 10 o'clock. So we had more rain in 2.5, 3 hours than we had in 2 weeks.